Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a nice day before we begin the video. Please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. General Hospital spoilers tease that Drew Cain, Cameron Matheson, seems to make new enemies on a daily basis. Most recently, Drew angered Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grahn, when he informed her that he was taking Scout Quartermain, Cosette Abinant, away to Washington, D.C., where Alexis and the rest of Scout's family would be unable to see her. Drew even twisted the knife when made it clear to Alexis that he didn't care what the late Sam Morgan, Kelly Monaco, would have wanted for daughter. For now, Drew has a couple allies still in Port Charles. First up, Kai Taylor, Jen's Austin Astrup, seems to have sort of a hero worship thing for Drew. And it's understandable because Drew footed the bill for Kai's experimental surgery. Although the surgery ultimately didn't work, Kai was still grateful that Drew gave him a chance. Kai even took a job as Drew's intern, even though that position cost Kai his relationship with Trina Robinson, Tabian Ali, Martin Gray's, Michael E. Knight. Relationship to Drew is more transactional. Martin is happy to work as Drew's attorney because of the money Drew pays him. In addition, Martin takes delight in anything that Drew does against Tracy Quartermain, Jane Elliott, since Martin particular doesn't like the Quartermain matriarch. But even Martin has his limits, and he has advised Drew against some of his more underhanded plans and tactics. But if Martin had any idea what Drew had done to Stella Henry, Verne Watson, he would most likely sever all ties no matter how much money Drew could potentially throw his way. When Martin recently told Drew how Stella had helped him maneuver his medical insurance issues at General Hospital, it gave Drew an idea. He just called in some favors, and now Stella is being investigated for insurance fraud. While it seems as though Stella is guilty, her heart was in the right place. She only wanted to make sure Martin received the care he needed. But if Stella loses her job or faces prison time because of Drew's tip, Martin will likely sever ties with Drew for good. Kai also shares a special bond with Stella, so Drew runs the risk now of losing the last of his allies in Port Charles. Is Stella really guilty of insurance fraud? Will Drew's role in Stella's troubles be revealed? Will Kai and Martin abandon Drew once they learn of his duplicity? Anything can happen in Port Charles, so stay tuned to General Hospital, airing weekdays on ABC. Port Charles is never short on scandals, but this time the drama is about to reach a boiling point as Drew Cain finds himself cornered, betrayed, and left reeling in the aftermath of Stella Henry's shocking insurance fraud being dragged into the light. For weeks, the writing has been on the wall that Drew's alliances were fragile, but no one anticipated how quickly the dominoes would fall once Stella's actions began to unravel. In a town built on secrets, power plays, and shifting loyalties, Drew may be about to face the harshest lesson of all. When the truth comes out, sometimes it leaves you standing all alone. The scandal first gained traction when inconsistencies in Stella's dealings began to raise suspicions among those closest to the Corinthos family orbit. Stella, long considered a guiding moral compass for the Ashford family and beyond, has been at the center of controversy after whispers emerged that she had manipulated insurance paperwork for financial gain. While she justified her actions as being for the greater good, the file paints a much darker picture. And Drew, who has been leaning heavily on Stella for support in his battles, both personal and professional, suddenly finds himself tangled in her web of deceit. Spoilers indicate that Stella's fraudulent activity won't stay hidden much longer, and when it explodes into public view, Drew will lose more than just an ally. He'll lose his last line of defense in Port Charles. Drew's arc has been one of constant struggle for stability since returning to Port Charles. His attempts to rebuild his identity, carve out a future with family, and prove himself as a leader in Aurora media have often been overshadowed by betrayal and manipulation. First, he was betrayed by Valentine Casadine in the Aurora shakeup. Then his relationship with Carly spiraled into uncertainty amid mob tensions and business rivalries. Now, with Stella's scandal pulling the rug out from under him, Drew's already fragile support system looks ready to collapse. General Hospital spoilers tease that the exposure of Stella's fraud will isolate Drew from allies like Curtis Ashford, Jordan Ashford, and even Sam McCall, who has been hesitant to fully reinsert herself into his life. With so many of his bonds fractured, Drew may find himself at the mercy of rivals who see opportunity in his weakness. What makes Stella's insurance fraud so devastating for Drew is not just the act itself, but the perception it creates. Port Charles residents have long memories, and many still associate Drew with Jason Morgan's identity switch, ELQ power struggles, and his complicated moral compass. Being tied to Stella's scandal by association may be the final straw for those who have remained cautiously loyal to him. Spoilers reveal that Ned Quatermain may use the situation to further diminish Drew's credibility in the corporate world, pointing to his inability to distance himself from questionable allies. Even Curtis, already torn between family loyalty and his business ventures, may be forced to sever ties with Drew to protect his own reputation. Carly Spencer, once one of Drew's strongest confidants, could also shift her stance after this revelation. With her own life constantly under scrutiny because of Sonny's mob ties, the last thing Carly needs is to be dragged into another scandal by association. While she may sympathize with Drew on a personal level, spoilers suggest Carly could ultimately decide to put distance between herself and Drew to safeguard her children and her business interests. If Carly turns her back, Drew's emotional isolation may become even more profound, leaving him vulnerable to destructive choices. There is also the matter of Sam McCall. Sam and Drew's history is layered with love, betrayal, and lingering affection, but Sam has been fiercely protective of her son Danny, and wary of letting Drew back into her life in any significant way. With Stella's fraud casting a shadow over Drew's judgment, Sam may finally make the call to keep her family completely separate from his turmoil. This would be a devastating blow to Drew, who has been quietly hoping for reconciliation or at least some form of co-parenting alliance rooted in mutual trust. Instead, Stella's scandal may shut that door permanently. General Hospital spoilers hint that Drew's professional future could be just as grim. With Aurora Media already on shaky ground thanks to market shifts and Valentin's maneuvering, the exposure of Stella's insurance fraud may give shareholders and rivals alike the ammunition they need to demand Drew's resignation. Alone, disgraced, and without the network of allies he once depended on, Drew could face losing the empire he has worked so hard to build. And knowing Port Charles, vultures like Valentin and Ned will be circling, eager to claim the spoils of Drew's downfall. But is all hope lost for Drew Cain? Spoilers suggest that while Drew may lose almost everyone he trusts, this could pave the way for a darker, more hardened version of him to emerge. Stripped of his allies, Drew may begin to operate with a level of ruthlessness that audiences haven't seen before. Instead of playing the noble hero, Drew could embrace a more morally ambiguous path, one that mirrors the darker tendencies of Jason Morgan, while still retaining his Cain identity. This transformation could set the stage for explosive storylines, pitting Drew against those who betrayed him while aligning him with unexpected figures like Ava Jerome or even Selena Wu, who thrive in the shadows of Port Charles. Stella's arc, meanwhile, will not be without consequence. Her reputation as a strong, righteous family matriarch is already in jeopardy, and once her fraud is laid bare, she may find herself ostracized from the very family she sought to protect. Curtis, in particular, will be torn between anger and compassion, while Jordan may struggle to reconcile her law enforcement duty with her lingering care for Stella. The Ashford family could fracture under the strain, creating ripple effects throughout the community. For Drew, this may be the most pivotal chapter of his journey yet. The man who once prided himself on loyalty, honor, and resilience may be pushed to the brink, forced to reinvent himself in a town that thrives on survival of the fittest. The question isn't just who Drew will become without his allies. It's whether Port Charles is ready for the man he's about to turn into. Spoilers tease that as Stella's fraud detonates across the canvas, the fallout will leave Drew standing at a crossroads with only two options: fade into irrelevance or rise from the ashes as a more dangerous, unpredictable force. Fans of General Hospital know that the writers love to push characters to their breaking points before reshaping them into something unrecognizable. Drew Kane's impending isolation may feel like a crushing defeat, but it could also be the necessary catalyst for a bold reinvention. If Stella's scandal is indeed the spark that sets off Drew's collapse, it may also ignite the fire that forges his next chapter. A chapter where he answers betrayal with power plays of his own, no longer the underdog, but a man who has nothing left to lose. One thing is certain: the exposure of Stella's insurance fraud will not be just another Port Charles scandal. It will mark the unraveling of relationships, reputations, and futures. For Drew Kane, it may mean the end of everything he has fought to build. Or it may be the beginning of a darker, more dangerous version of himself that no one saw coming. Either way, the fallout will be seismic, and Port Charles will never be the same. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our YouTube channel for more update news.